Hi, everybody.
Welcome back.
Another week.
This week, we'd like to talk to you about our time just outside of Norfolk. We were in an anchorage near the city called Mill Creek, and we were there for 2 weeks. We were doing a bunch of projects still that we needed to take care of, and we were also getting ready to leave
For the ICW.
and sail down, or not really sail down, motor down, because that's what you do in the ICW. ICW, Intercoastal Waterway, which is a series of canals,
Yeah.
rivers, waterways, sounds.
Locks.
So the Intercoastal Waterway, I guess you can go all the way from the Great Lakes in Canada, all the way down to Florida.
Right. Without touching the ocean. Like, it's really protected. So.
Correct. Yeah. And we are going to take it from Norfolk down through North Carolina, South Carolina. We're not really sure how far down. But never say never, yet once again.
Yeah.
When we were looking at boats,
I think we were a little cocky.
we were a little cocky.
Yeah.
We're
not going to do the ICW.
Yeah.
We
Got to motor the whole thing.
It's for turkeys. Yeah, no, we were going to go outside and sail.
Yeah. So we'd love to go outside and sail, but it's a little late in the season, and the weather systems, I think I mentioned in the last video, the weather systems are really rolling in very frequently. And it's getting pretty rough out there.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of points, one in particular called Cape Hatteras, which is a point that goes way out, shoals way out off the coast of North Carolina. And it gets really, really gnarly.
Yeah, quite often. And
Yeah.
Cape Fear.
And Cape
Go
Fear
figure.
just south of it. So especially since we're well into November, we have decided to transverse the Intercoastal Waterway, or ICW. So never make judgments about things you don't know about until you research them adequately.
Life lesson number 359.2.
And never say never.
Exactly.
So we're going to talk to you about our projects that we did
Because
over
we
a
had
couple
to
weeks.
do a few during the 2 weeks that we were there.
Yeah.
And we kind of we're kind of sedentary. We go somewhere, we stop for months, and then we move on.
Or weeks.
This time it was 2 weeks, so.
I don't know that I call us sedentary.
No, we're sedentary nomads.
We like to
you
move
say that?
slowly.
Slowly.
We're not kind of get there,
Go,
move
go,
out
go.
the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to
Enjoy the place. Oh, and we also have a lot of footage about the fort.
Yes, we'd like to. There was a fort there off the anchorage called Fort Monroe, which has a great deal of history around the Civil War and the starting and ending of slavery in the region. And we did a little visiting around a community called Hampton, which is near Norfolk. We actually didn't spend much time in Norfolk.
No, not much at all.
Maybe another time. I'm sure there's a lot of really cool places to visit, but we spent quite a bit of time around the fort. So we will share that with you. Interesting and beautiful. So enjoy the video.
Yes.
Be sure to click like and subscribe, and
All the time.
after watching, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Ask us some questions. There's a question that we got that we're going to talk a little bit about later when we do our gear corner for this week's video.
So we'll address that question then.
Stick
which
around.
was about the AIS. Yeah, stick around. Oh, and on top of commenting and thumbs up, you could always share this video with somebody you think about. It's like, wow, they would like that. So go ahead and push the share button.
See you later. Enjoy the video.
See ya.
Morning, crew. Captain speaking. This is the day we've been waiting for. This is why we camped here. Let's go take a look. And this morning I was kind of wondering why there was a line hanging out the back. There's a little small line hanging out into the dinghy. And as I went forward, I realized up here, I don't know if you can see this, our lazy jacks came undone, tied it there now. So I had to fish it out. I tied it back together. And then the main I had to lash down because it was getting blown over because it has nothing to hold it back together except the bag, and the bag is, without the lazy jacks, is not that great. So yeah, as you can hear, she's blowing. Let me put you out there just for fun. No, kids, don't try this at home. Hey, you got a little wet. So yeah, the shaking is not, it's you getting caught in the wind, the camera. You got caught in the wind. And clean your face up a little bit. There you go. Feel better? There you go. Yeah, it's I couldn't keep the camera still.
So I'm gonna winch Dennis up. Then he's gonna have a safety line too when he goes up there. It's pretty high up there. The top of the mast is 63 feet up in the sky. And he's got his handy dandy bosun's chair. Oh, that's good, yeah. Alrighty, so Dennis, you had another trip up the mast today, did you not?
I sure did.
Is this a new sport?
It's a new sport. It's very entertaining. The view is fantastic. And in this bay, it's pretty calm, so I didn't get rock and rolled all the hell.
And what did you go to the top of the mast for today?
Run our spinnaker halyard.
Because what happened when you went to the top of the mast last time?
I noticed that the lead line was all tangled up there, so I needed to go up anyway. And then the second was to measure the exact height of the mast plus the instrument. So we tied this cute little white line, and then went up, measured it first to the top of the mast, and then to the top of the instrument, so we know exactly. And that's
so,
down to here, and then later on I will measure from that height to the water line.
And the reason for that is
ICW. We have to go underneath bridges. And a lot of these bridges are at 64 feet.
Well, most of them are supposed to be at 65, but there's two at 64.
Correct.
And
there's supposed to be 63 and a half.
Well, there's one, the Wilkinson or Wilkerson.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be very questionable.
Yeah.
And so we want to know exactly what our height is.
Exactly.
Because it sounds like it's sunk a bit over the years.
No, this is bridge sink.
I don't know, but this bridge is sunk.
But we'll find out. We'll let you know. All right.
old Point Comfort Lighthouse, built in 1802, oldest standing structure in Fort Monroe, and it continues to be an active navigational aid and the property of the United States Coast Guard. During the War of 1812, the tower was used as a lookout by a British invasion force while they attacked Washington. The adjacent house was the lightkeeper's quarters until the light was automated in 1973 when the house became Army property. So we're on the bay side of the fort, and they're building a memorial here. It's the African Landing Memorial Project. Represents the story for the first Africans in Virginia colony having survived a violent kidnapping, horrific Atlantic Middle Passage, and being forced into a labor system which Europeans profited from. The figures that are going to be in the sculpture depict Anthony and Isabella, two of the 32 enslaved men and women who were brought here having survived the treacherous journey across the Atlantic, cradling their baby, William Tucker. The family they created symbolizes the beginning of a new ethnic group and culture. Their legacy continues to live on through their descendants today. So they're putting in a really, what I'm sure will be a beautiful memorial for this site, which was the first landing of the kidnapped people from Africa, and also the first refuge for the slaves when the Civil War began. And such a beautiful scene behind us here for the Chesapeake Bay, the very southern end, and the sailboats coming and going on their way outside or the ICW to travel south. Hi, honey.
How's it going?
Just ducky. How are you?
Doing an oil change on the engine.
How's that going?
Well, there was this little gizmo in here. That's an electric drill pump, which I think it's for water more than oil. Tried that didn't work. This oil containment tool thing is kind of a mess, so I've got oil everywhere. Lucky for my wife, she's cleared out this whole area. Now I've tried this manual pump like the good old days, but it looks like we may be at it for a little while, i.e. maybe a couple of days. Because it doesn't seem to be coming out all that fast. I mean, look at the tube that's going in there. It's pretty small.
How did you used to do it on equestrian?
That way. But it seemed to have worked better. But maybe it's just patience. Yes, my cat. Where are you? Don't rip the screen. Cat alert.
Rex, you can't get in here. They were short back then. Stockade and guardhouse. The room in which you are standing, the present main gate walkway, was originally part of the guardhouse for Fort Monroe. The door in front of you leads to the individual cells as opposed to the large room in which you are standing, which was a prison room for 20 to 40 men. The guardhouse was remodeled in 1870 and replaced by a new guardhouse in 1900. Ooh, I don't think I'd want to get behind that door. Good thing it's locked. This is so apropos on, what day is today, honey?
Halloween.
Halloween! Hi, welcome to Fort Monroe.
I think they would be more drab.
Fort Monroe Quarters, number 1. In this house, President Abraham Lincoln stayed during his visit of May 6th to 11, 1862. It was here that President Lincoln, General Wool, and Commodore Goldsborough planned the attack on Norfolk, Virginia. Cool. That's an old house.
1862 in May. I was born in May 2nd, 1962.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
You must be tied to Abraham Lincoln.
I'm his grandson.
That's cool. Wow. A house that Abraham Lincoln stayed in. They've done a beautiful job of maintaining the grounds here. It's Squirrelville.
Look up in the trees.
Look on the trees. So we're not bringing Walter down here because apparently this is where all the squirrels hang out. On these beautiful old trees. But I wanted to show you while Walter has to wait. Isn't that lovely? There's Walter, waiting at attention, hoping for the moment he can go into Squirrelville. No Squirrelville for you today, Walter. Daddy needs both arms. One of several large cisterns shown on a map of 1834. No potable water was ever found on Old Point Comfort, although one well was sunk to more than 900 feet.
Ooh.
So obviously they tried hard. The garrison had to depend on cistern water and water brought from wells on the island. That must have been fun back then.
No kidding. Memorial to Jefferson Davis. For some, it's a site of heritage and history. For others, a symbol of hate, and highlights the extent to exclude African Americans from public life and civil liberties. The memorial was placed here during the modern civil rights movement in the 1950s. Some Virginia cities and counties closed their schools in massive resistance to the Supreme Court's invalidation of segregation, arguing that it was the state's right to determine relations between black and white people. The new memorials, such as this arch, celebrate the heroes of the Confederacy as defenders of an unfairly oppressed region in opposition to this federal ruler.
Morning, folks. Captain speaking. Here we go. Today is a change of clutch because the old clutch was kind of a little worn out, a little damaged, bent. What happened is that there's a certain time where they changed the lines and they didn't change the clutch. So if they go up in size in lines and don't change the clutch, it's really hard to go through the clutch. There's only a certain amount of space in there. So if you have a 10 mil clutch, 11 mil wire, it's really, it's nice that you have big lines, but you have to have the clutch to match with it. So here we have a Lumar 14 mil clutch, because these wires, these ropes are like, this one is like 12. You got probably an 11, 10 here. This one's pretty small, it's probably a 10. 10, but where's my main? Oh, there. The main looks like a 11, 12. So it's a little fat, and you can see the abrasion. You can see the abrasion on the line. So every time it goes through that clutch, it gets rubbed and rubbed and rubbed and rubbed until there's nothing left. So you can see it on this one too. It's the same thing. It's really rubbed out. So what we're going to do is change this clutch here. It's a 3-in-1 kind of deal. It's a big block. So I'm going to take that apart. I've already taken the main and the ship furling line. So I'm going to put those in there. And yeah, I guess that's going to be about it. So you guys can just hang out here for a minute and watch me struggle with this event. There we go. We're at the end. And here's the struggle, because now they spliced this, and you can see where they spliced here. It's a little thicker from here on in. It's a little thicker. So now that this just makes it through the clutch, this will probably not. You gotta kind of make it skinny. All right. So I have a smaller line here. I've got my little sailor knots memorized. All right, so you can see how tight this is, and that's open. That's in the open position. In the closed position, it's not going to move, but in the open position, it's still rubbing. I can feel it when I'm pulling the line. So the trick is now is to pass that through there without any issues. And when you pump the clutch sometime, it helps getting it through there. It's a long process. So the moral of the story is, it's like if you're going to upgrade something, you have to upgrade everything down the line when it comes to rain. You can't just upgrade the lines and not expect this to have to change. Same thing with the winches. They're borderline. They will do for now. But at one point, I wouldn't mind getting bigger ones. As you can see, there's no room for these lines to go through. Really none. You gotta really struggle to try to get them out. It's going slow, like a hair at the time. The issue with this is that you have to keep tension on it. Whew. Now, lucky for me, we did a workout yesterday. I'm getting there. Slowly but surely.
down below. And you can see the screws down here. 3 screws here. And there's also a screw down here, but we can't see it. Phillips big, large, monster screws. So I'm going to go downstairs, take the ceiling apart, and put a pair of pliers on the nut. And I'm going to bring back my screwdriver, and we'll be able to undo this. All right. We've got that inner clutch, all the bolts and nuts here. So I loosen them all up. I'm going to take out the nuts and then try to pry it from the outside. So really simple. This is done for. Wow. Look at the spider nets. Ooh-ee. Nice. Alright, so I'm going to clean that up and then I'll get back to you. Well done. All lines are in. We're happy.
And now, the Gear Corner.
All right, so this week on the Gear Corner is a question we had in our comments about explaining what AIS means. Because last week, if you want to go see the episode, it's talking about radar versus AIS and back and forth and then combining the two of them together. Most people know what radar is all about. I'll put a picture here. Basically, what it is, it's a picture on your navigation system that will display all the information about the ships that are around you. Naturally, not all ships carry AIS. The commercial ships are, required to carry AIS.
At least
we have seen
in the United States and Canada.
We have seen a few that did not portray the AIS. And basically the AIS, it's a little drawing of a boat with a little placard above it, and that says what the boat name is, their course and speed, and there's all kinds of detail. You could click on that and it'll give you their size, their, what are they doing? Are they a sailboat, cargo, fuel? So it gives you a lot of information about that boat. So a lot of people use that as an information to, when they're at sea, to see what's coming towards them.
Or what's around them.
Right.
Or who's around them.
What to try to avoid, right?
Or who to try to avoid.
Exactly.
And one of the cool things about it too, when it's being displayed either on the app, I don't know if it does this on the navigation system, but I know on the marine app, when you're looking at the boats on AIS, is there's different colors for different kinds of boats.
Right.
So you see purple for pleasure boats, like power boats and sailboats like us that are out there for fun.
Red for tankers.
Red for tankers.
And yellow for cargo, and
I think it's green for cargo.
green for what's red? Or yellow.
Red.
Passenger boats?
Blue is
Blue's
passenger.
So anyway,
Yeah.
there's a variety of different symbols for different things, which is kind of interesting. Once you get into it, there's a lot of details in there that you can have.
So the other thing that I found interesting that we'd like to share with you about the AIS system, and this also ties into VHF. And what does VHF stand for?
Very high frequency.
Okay, so it's the radio
Yes.
that's on your boat. And some people have handheld, portable VHF. We have one of those.
That's correct.
And then
Or mounted.
typically there's an integral VHF system that's mounted inside your boat.
Correct.
And for both AIS, and this was all new to me because when we sailed before we had VHF, but
Yeah.
there was no AIS.
No, not 20 years ago.
No, maybe there was
5
for
years.
commercial,
Maybe, yeah.
but it wasn't a common thing for pleasure boats.
No.
Yeah.
You just have the radar.
So I'm not quite sure. We'd have to look and see when it became more popular.
Yeah.
Be interesting to look
Yeah.
and figure that out. But within the AIS system and now within the VHF system, here comes another acronym, there's something that was also new to us, and it kind of all felt like stuff that was just out in the boating ozone,
Right.
called MMSI, and that stands for Maritime Mobile Service Identity. And
Notice
that,
we had to read that.
I did have to read that because I don't remember it. And that is a number that is unique to each and every boat. It's a number that goes with the boat. It's kind of like a telephone number, is when I was reading and trying to learn about it, that's identified with your boat. And you have to have that number programmed into your AIS system. And also you have to have it, you should have it programmed into your VHF system.
Right.
And the value behind it is that you can then be tracked, and all the information is associated with for your boat is associated with that number. And it's also really of great value in an emergency situation. If a distress call goes out on the VHF or through AIS, or they use AIS to track you with your MMSI, I just know it helps.
And then the WSP and the LMNOP.
So because it is a unique number that is associated with your boat, it is programmed in, you have to then change it with people that change the ownership of the boat.
Right.
And actually, I'm going to correct myself. You don't have to change the number. You can transfer the number. But the numbers are assigned, the MMSI numbers are assigned through the country's regulating body that your boat is flagged. So the boat was previously owned by an American who had their flagging through the United States Coast Guard. So their MMSI number was through the Federal Communications...
FCC.
FCC, and it's Federal Communications... something
Country?
else with a C.
Center.
Center.
Federal-
I'm not sure, but anyhow. And so we could not get a number through the FCC because or use the number that was assigned through the FCC because our boat is now flagged Canadian. So the prior owner had to cancel his MMSI number, and then we applied and got a number through Canada. Problem is, you cannot, in the US and Canada, you cannot change the numbers in your VHF or your AIS system by yourself. And we heard all sorts of kind of horror stories. You have to ship everything off to the manufacturer, and
It was almost true.
yeah, sort of, but just for the VHF.
Yeah.
But so we didn't get a chance to deal with that in Newport. But when we got to Norfolk, we found, and I have to look to see what his name, gentleman by the name of Andrew Robertson from Trident Marine Electronic.
Right.
And he's an individual, very good guy. He's an individual that does this type of service and all sorts of, I'm sure, marine electronic services.
Anything
on
to
your
do
boat.
with Raymarine and radios and programming.
Yeah.
So
Really helpful. He came out to the boat and he had the appropriate software. He was able to program in our new MMSI number into our AIS system. And then he works with a company out of Maryland, which was pretty close. And so he was able to, in just a few days, take our VHF radio off the boat, ship it off, and get it back to us.
right,
So
reprogram it
reprogram.
with the MMSI number.
So I'm glad we have that now, because now we can be properly tracked as we're out on the water.
Yes. So if there is an emergency, if we have to abandon ship, then they know where we went down.
And just along the way, we can be tracked by other boats. People see us, they
Right.
see our boat name, they can hail us if they want to contact us out on the water,
Right.
Particularly going down the intercoastal waterway or
Yeah.
ICW. There's lots of really narrow channels and a lot of traffic, and I'm sure it will come in handy.
So as long as you have your AIS with your MMSI number on your VHF in the ICW, you should be all right.
There you go. And what
Elementary.
about radar? What was it, the comments that you made about radar versus AIS?
Well, not everyone, like we said, not everyone has an AIS number, so they don't all show up on your instruments. So in the middle of the night or on a foggy day, you might not see a boat coming towards you. It's pretty important to me anyway to see what's coming at me during the night or, during the fog. And I think even the fog is worse than at night. At night, they have a bunch of lights. Everybody has lights. You have a green to starboard and a red to port. You have a masthead light. You could see a person coming. You can tell if they're facing left, right, are they coming towards you, away from you. But in the fog, you don't see anything. And in thick fog, like you can get on the East Coast, in the north, I know for sure, in Halifax, you can get some pretty nasty stuff. And you see no lights. You don't see anything. So they have horn signals. But again, the AIS is good, but if you don't have it, radar is on top of it all. It kind of tells you who's out there for sure.
And I wonder if a lot of people aren't familiar with how to use radar. You're really familiar because you were a radar operator in the Navy.
Right.
But like for example, when we were coming into the Chesapeake Bay, there were commercial ships that had AIS, but they kind of toggled them on and off. I don't think they're supposed to do that.
No.
But there was a ship we were following, and I was trying to see how close it was to us, and he was on AIS, and then he wasn't.
Yeah.
So the radar is also really useful.
Yeah, I think it's in my books, because I was a radar operator, I think it's the best thing, and then the AIS could be a complementary item to the radar. So there's my 2 bits.
And radar, RADAR, is spelled that way.
I don't think it means anything.
No, it doesn't. It's
No.
just- But since we're talking letters.
They'll start spelling everything. Cool.
So that's our gear corner to better explain radar and AIS and
MMSI,
MMSI and
ICW.
radar. ICW.
LMNOP.
And for those of you that aren't familiar with boats, by the way, Denis was referring to starboard and port. As you're facing the front of the boat,
Yes.
starboard is your right and port is your left.
Right. And that is because if you're at the front of the boat looking back, your left becomes starboard and the right becomes port because you're looking at the boat facing the other way.
So starboard and port stay the same, but left and right do not.
Doesn't matter how many times you go around the boat, it's always going to be the right side of the boat will be green, which is starboard, and the left side of the boat will be port, and it's red.
So, a little bit of
There you
boat
go.
lingo, a little
Yeah.
bit of acronyms.
Yes.
Leave us a comment if you know of any other interesting boat-related acronyms
Or if you're totally confused by the whole thing.
and what they stand for.
Right. Oh.
Leave us a
yes.
comment. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Next week, we start south on the ICW.
Have a nice day.
I read in one of the plaques that they carried 800 bricks to build this place. To build the moat. They brought in,
800
maybe it was 8,000.
Yeah.